Boker Tov, everybody. So this week's parsha is Behar-Bechukotai. A lot of notable things happening in this parsha. I want to specifically mention the tithing, as that's something that not everyone is super acquainted with. I want to point out something very interesting about the concept of tithing, because it turns out that even though it's commanded here in this part of the Torah, it was actually done even before that by some of our ancestors, even before the Torah was given. And I think it's very interesting to think about to what extent did Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob know about God's commandments, because they hadn't been given yet, right? The Torah hadn't been given yet until Mount Sinai. I mean, we see an example of Abraham rushing to feed the three strangers, and the kashrut isn't really there yet. So you see, there are examples of maybe things that weren't happening yet. Tithing was something that they did. So specifically, the tithing, it really is about 10% of the crop yield is set aside for specific reasons, right? So tithing, it's usually it's usually to give to a particular group of people. So in the Torah, sometimes the tithing is set aside for the Levites, the Kohanim, as well. So sometimes it's for that. Sometimes it's for the poor. So the idea of tithing, of setting aside a certain percentage of your yield, particularly to feed people who need that, who have that need to have that provided for them, that's something that is exemplified by our ancestors as well as commanded to us later. So the maaser, that is the tithing. Now, there's an interesting discussion about how that applies to us today, because tithing really is for the crop yield in Israel. The commandments are for the land, just like you see the commandments of the Jubilee and of leaving the land fallow every 7 years. So those are things that's also happening in this parsha. So those are things that apply to the land of Israel that not necessarily applying elsewhere, right? But here, I think the example of tithing is something that we can take with us, even if it doesn't apply outside of the land with regards to crop yield, because we have other yields in our lives that we can set aside 10% or whatever amount that we feel comfortable with, I suppose, and setting something aside to then provide for the needs of somebody else. I think it really alludes to the fact that we are a community and we rely on each other, right? So there are those who do rely on our aid from time to time. And not only are we commanded to do that, but we also see it exemplified by some of our best examples in the Torah, who didn't even have it commanded upon them yet, right? So even if it weren't commanded upon us, it's something that's the right thing to do, to provide for the needs of others, to look out for those in our community who are needing help, whether it's financially or food insecurity or a little bit of support, personal support, going through a time of need. Those are the things that we can provide, and that not just that we're commanded to do, but we do them because it's the right thing to do. And living in a community is something that we all benefit from. At one point or another, any of us could be in need. So when we provide for the needs of others, that all comes around to us by living together in harmony in a community.